All right, Patreon number 3, Dan Blake from Trauma, also from Amityville vs. the Galactic Samurai Schoolgirls. He asked me to talk about what I believe the state of independent film is going to be like going forward. So I've given this no thought, but off the top of my head, the movie theater experience, I went to the movies the other day to go see a movie that got no advertising whatsoever, and I was the only fucking person in the theater. Yet there was a whole mess of people seeing Alien and seeing Mummy again and stuff like that.
Well, that got promoted.
Well, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. The promotion is where it's at. Obviously, people don't need to get their movies the way that they used to. There's not advertising, like there's no newspaper ads and shit like that. What it is now is about marketing online and going to people in an outlet like TikTok or like Instagram and stuff like that.
I mean, that's how Challengers, I've even heard of it, because everyone keeps memeing the three of them kissing on the bed.
So what I think about that is why I also think the movie theater experience is ultimately going to die. Is there is no more mid-tier budget drama. There is no more erotic thriller. The movie theater itself is going to become a depository for re-releasing of things that we already know, and the 3DX and the 4D and the shit that squirts water at you. They're going to just continue to push those type of movies that are like a theme park attraction, and that is going to be the future of movie theaters. It's a grim fucking landscape going forward because only the IPs and the Marvel movies and the sequels and the remakes really have a place in that realm anymore. And then when you get the tier down that, which is streaming, there's so many fucking streaming platforms anymore, and everything gets lost so easily. Netflix, because there is so much branded content on all these other streaming sites that is owned by all these different companies, Netflix has to create original content, and then everything that you engage in, they cancel after one fucking season if it doesn't do Stranger Things style money. So I'm just looking at the future of things, and it's really depressing. Now, with that said, there is always going to be a market for, low budget horror movies. The occasional thing that's going to break out. Like we've had this like influx recently of like exorcism movies again and stuff like that. Things are cyclical. They move in trends. But the old quote is, no one's ever lost any money underestimating the good taste of the American public. And that's why places like Tubi exist, and that's why places like Troma exist. I believe that with the right type of marketing, there is always going to be a place for these types of films. But I think in the mainstream, unless you have like a super memeable movie, like a Velocipaster or Sharknado or something, stuff that like not Velocipaster. I think that one came out of a really pure place. Sharknado, I feel, was constructed in a lab. It's like, we're gonna make a cult movie, but I hate cult movies that are constructed, because the best types of cult films are the ones where everybody was really trying to make something special, and they were so misguided that they made something ridiculous, and that's why we love it. So I feel like, and then Netflix is like, we're going to start doing indie, and I'm like, please don't. Because
that also, that is in itself an oxymoron.
Yeah, exactly.
Netflix is doing it. It's no longer indie.
No.
Not an independent, produced product.
And it's also not, it's not telling stories from a specific,
No, they
so
just
many
they're like, oh, indie seems to be making some amount of money.
Yeah, let's put it into a boardroom and say that we need to make this movie about interracial couples in World War II, and one of them has a clubbed foot and the other one has a cleft palate. And
sounds really specific.
No, I'm just like,
okay.
No, I'm just saying like random things that they would try to make an advert, like they're trying to make grief porn. Because that's popular, but it's not coming from a singular vision of a filmmaker. It's coming from executives, trying to construct. Exactly, the algorithm says. And there's been a lot of people recently who are like, they're not making movies anymore. They're basically just feeding the algorithm. It's what YouTube does, and that's depressing. But the indie circuit, the low budget horror film, sci-fi film, action film. the drama, the queer culture stuff, there's always going to be a place where that's coming from something fucking raw and punk rock. Mm-hmm. Now, how do we get that seen? That's the problem. You can't do what you used to do. You're not going to have another fucking Porky's, because movie theaters now need to be filled with Mission Impossible 11 and Thor 6 and stuff like that. So the entire the movie going experience as it was doesn't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. The film going experience doesn't exist anymore because everything has to be broken up and memeable and fit into the TikTok level of the short attention span and stuff like that. And it's depressing, but there is always going to be out there people telling stories and filmmakers who are trying to do cool, fun shit or serious shit. It's just the way that we get our entertainment has changed so much that now filmmakers and producers and marketing has to figure out a way to catch up with that, and it can't be like, with video and tape and stuff like that where the big companies will just fucking cut off their nose to spite their face.
Right.
So I don't know. I get depressed when I think about people who work on films and then the films being used as a tax write-off or something getting buried and movies becoming TV in public and something hitting Netflix or Peacock or whatever and it getting buried because everything moves so quickly. And maybe that's just me being an old man, but there is I do believe that there always will be a place for genre film, but it's just a matter of us out there as genre wannabe filmmakers or real filmmakers need to figure out how to fucking game the system. And there always has to be a level of carnival barkerism in selling your film and selling yourself and selling the sizzle, not the steak, and all that kind of stuff. So as much as I get depressed about that, I also know that there are a lot of filmmakers out there who are smart as fuck and also know how to game the system. And that is the only thing that gives me any relief that the things that I love, someone else is going to create things that other younger generations are going to fall in love with, and then people like me will continue on into the future. So if that's my answer on what I think about the state of film. I don't think that is an answer. It's just me rambling with fear and trepidation and trying to talk myself into it's fine. It's going to be fine. As everything burns around me. Yeah. So, Dan, I hope that answers your question.